Hi, this is Amar from SSLtrust.com Australia, and in this video I will be showing you how you can successfully install an SSL certificate on your Apache web server using the Ubuntu command line interface. So let's get started. So this is the domain name that we're looking to secure, and this is the domain that we've pointed to our server IP address, and as you can see, this is not yet secure, and we're gonna make sure it is. So you can do this for a single website hosted on your server or multiple websites hosted on your server. The only difference being is the location of the configuration files and the individual virtual host you'll have to create and configure them. So in this video, we've pointed this domain name to our IP address, and this is a single website that we're going to be securing. So the first thing that we're going to do is generate a private key and a CSR for our certificate. Now a CSR, or a customer sign-in request, is nothing but a request initiated by you, the client, to the certificate authority issuing your certificate, which contains all necessary information such as the domain name, any business details, which are stored in a hashed form. On the technical side, it also contains the public key, which will be signed by the certificate authority and returned to you in the issued certificate. So this was a brief introduction to a CSR and a private key you'll need to access your certificate. So what we're going to do now is open your favorite SSH client. We're going to be using Apache for this one, and get root access to your server. Okay, we're in. So the prerequisites for this video are that you update your server and install Apache on it. So it is recommended that you head down to the description of this video and open the written guide, so that you'll find all the written commands there and you'll be able to install the certificate with ease. So now what we're going to do is check the status of Apache first. Systemctl status Apache 2. So the Apache web server is running, and we're going to clear this up. As you can see, our domain name is being displayed. It is pointed to our server, so we're good to go. You need to make sure that the OpenSSL library is installed on your server. So it comes pre-installed in the Ubuntu operating system. So you can check that by typing OpenSSL and space version. So if you get a OpenSSL version, then we're good to go. It's installed. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is create a directory to store all of our certificate files, including our private key and CSR. Now you do not need to create the directory with that exact name, or you can use the default directories as specified by Apache. So to make the directory, you can use this command, and we're going to name our direct folder as encryption, which will be in the etc directory, and click on enter. So we get to go. We'll be storing all of our files in this folder, and the command to generate a private key and a CSR is sudo openSSL. Do not worry in case you can't follow me. You can always find the written commands in the written description available below this video. So click on that and you can follow through then. Sudo openSSL, we're going to request a new key, which will be using the RSA2048 algorithm. Nodes key out, and this is the place where you specify the directory or the location you wanna save your private key in. So let's type in the name of the directory we just created. Type on space and then type in the name of your key. Let's call it server.key space out Then the location you want to save your CSR to, the same, and let's call it server.csr. If now you can press enter, type in, okay, our private key was successfully created, and you need to input in a few details to validate you to like get your CSR. So the 2-letter abbreviation for your country, the name of your state or province, the name of your city or town, the name of your organization, and the organization division, for example IT, your domain name, your email address, you can leave this empty or create a password, but make sure to remember it. We're gonna just click on enter, and we're good to go. To view your CSR, you can either navigate to that folder via cd, navigate to that directory, sorry, or you can just type in the command cat. Let's clear this screen up a bit. Cat and the location of that directory, encryption, and the name of your CSR. And this is your certificate sign request. You've successfully generated one. Copy this from the very start to the very end, hover over your cursor and press on Ctrl+C, and you're good to go. So you can now successfully order and configure your SSL certificate at your certificate provider or at the SSL Trust configuration panel, and I'm going to show you just how to do that. Okay, so we're here at ssltrust.com.au, and we're going to move on to configure and purchase our certificate. So it doesn't matter whether you're an individual, a business, or an organization, because SSL Trust has partnerships with all the leading certificate authorities, and they provide certificates at a really great price along with great support. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to be going with the basic form of certificate. So you can go on and purchase your certificate, for example, any kind of, whether you need a business certificate, a standard certificate, an extended validation certificate. So I'm going to show you just how to do that. So you can click on the Comodo Positive SSL or the Sectical Positive SSL. You can choose it for 1 year. You can click on Buy SSL in whatever currency you want to purchase it, and you can click on Checkout. This is going to cost you $10 a year. Type in all your details, fill in all these details here, and you can pay by either one of these methods and click on Complete Order. Once you've successfully purchased your SSL certificate, you can head over to the dashboard and view your certificates here. So now we're going to click submit our certificate configuration. So make sure that you've copied your CSR as we did, or save it in a notepad file as you wish, depends on you. So paste in your CSR here and click on Verify CSR. So if your details come up just about right, and we're good to go then. So server type, we're going to choose Apache and click on Next Step. So type in all your details here, your first name, your last name, etc. Your email address. And if you are the admin and you have a technical individual doing this for you, make sure to include his or her details here too. Or otherwise, we're the admin and we're installing this certificate, so we're going to check this option and we're good to go. click on next step. So now comes the important part, or domain control validation. So you have one of three methods to verify the ownership of your domain name. The first one is the email method, and probably the easiest one. You need to have one of these five email addresses: webmaster@yourdomainname.com or admin@yourdomain.com. So once you choose this method and click on submit configuration, you'll be sent an email by the certificate authority with a link, and if you click on that, and you should be done with verification, and you'll be good to go. You'll be like able to proceed easily. And the next method is the HTTP file method. So in this method, you need to navigate to this very directory and create a file with this name, and you need to input these contents into that file and upload them on your server. So once you're done with that, click on check file to check if this has been read by this server or not. Then it should be a few minutes until this has successfully been verified by the certificate authority, which in this case is Sectigo. And the third, or the easiest method that we're going to use, is the CNAME record validation method. So you need to head over to your domain registrar and or your hosting provider, depending on where your name servers are pointed, and head over to a DNS records there and create a CNAME record with this very name pointing to this extension. So I'm going to show you just how to do that. So our website, our server is currently hosted on Linode. So we're gonna copy we've pointed the domain name servers to the Linode ones, as you can see here. So we're gonna add a CNAME record here. Go to your DNS settings, depending on whatever domain or hosting provider you have. So the host name is gonna be this. Click on copy and paste it, the host name here, and the pointing to address is going to be this. Control C and Control V. TTL is going to be default, the time to load, and click on save. Once you're done with that, head back to your certificate configuration and click on check DNS record here. Click on search. So our DNS record has not propagated yet. It is going to take a few minutes up to a few hours depending on your DNS server's propagation speed, but it should be done ideally within a few minutes. One thing you can do is submit your configuration for now. And our configuration was a success. This is our order number, and our status is that we're awaiting validation. Click here to access the validation manager, and this is the validation manager. So once your CNAME record is not automatically verified, which should not be the case, you could come back here, click on this, like check on the method of verification that you've chosen, click on that and click on submit. So it's done. Our DNS record validation it was super quick because thanks to Linux name servers. So now you can, or if you're lost, you can head back to the dashboard again and click on your certificate. Oh, this is showing this option right now, but you'll be seeing an option right here called Access Validation Manager. So if you're ever lost, if you cannot see this validation manager, you can come back and click on the button here, or you can keep coming back here and check your DNS records. So that was super quick. As you can see, it was like under a minute or something, and we're good to go. Okay, so now comes the important part, which is the installation of our certificate on our server. So we're gonna head over to the SSL Trust dashboard and collect our certificate. Click on collect or download certificate. And as you can see, we have the certificate and intermediate certificate in text format. So keep this page open, head over to your SSH client again, and what we're going to do now is overwrite. We're going to create a new file, the certificate file, and paste this text content into that. So to do that, navigate to the directory you've created or the default directory where we're going to save these certificates. So in our case, it is sudo nano /etc/encryption, and let's name our certificate.crt. So what you're going to do now is come here, copy your certificate to clipboard, head over to client again, and paste it here. Control X and click on Y. So we've successfully pasted our certificate. So let's do the same for our intermediate certificate. Now it's recommended that you install your intermediate certificate for improved compatibility with browsers. To eliminate, this is your best chance to eliminate extra security warnings that often pop up on websites. So we're going to do just that. Let's call it intermediate.crt. Make sure the spelling is good and click on enter. Get back to the SSL Trust website. Copy your intermediate certificate to your clipboard and paste it here. Control X and save your buffer. Okay, now that we have successfully uploaded our certificate files to our server, we're going to move on to configure some SSL settings and enable our SSL certificates. So what we're going to do now is create a new file, sudo nano, and the location is going to be this. So, and I have to mention it again that if you're lost, you can open the written guide in the next tab and follow with me. Let's call this file sslparams.config and click on enter. So to do this, now you can copy and paste the default SSL parameters, and we're going to do just that. We have the SSL protocol set up here, so click on copy and paste it here. Control X and save this buffer. So now that we've specified the default SSL parameters for the Apache web server to follow, we need to now update the default SSL configuration file. To do that, so let's create a backup first so that in case anything goes wrong, the Apache web server can revert back to that configuration. To do that, the command is sudo cp/etc/apache2/sites available and default ssl.config, and let's back it up to /etc/apache2 sites available and default SSL config dot back. And once you're done with that, we can now click on enter, and we've successfully backed up our file. So to change the default SSL configuration, we're gonna navigate to the same folder again, sudo nano etc apache2 sites available and default ssl.config. Let's access this file. So you do need to make a few changes here in order for the Apache web server to successfully read your files and display them on the client side. So what we're going to do now is scroll down at the document root. Let's add Click on enter and add a server name here. The server name, make sure the S and N are capital. Server name is going to be your domain name.com. And let's create a server alias. So these are some of the changes that you need to make. Just type in www across your domain name, before your domain name, sorry, and click on enter. And that is just about it. And navigate to the SSL certificate file and specify the location. So we know our location is -etc-encryption, where our certificate file is, and it's called certificate.crt. Okay, and the private key, if you remember, is in the same folder, so it's encryption, or the same directory. Click on enter, and you'll need to add the intermediate certificate for improved compatibility. You can still exit, but I recommend that you add it to minimize security warnings and improve compatibility with the latest browsers. So the command for that is SSL, the C is capital, certificate chain file, and the path to that is the same, and the encryption intermediate.crt, and that's all the changes that you need to make. So save the buffer, click on yes, enter, and we're good to go. So by adding the missing lines of code, you can make sure that the SSL configuration is followed by Apache, that this SSL configuration is followed by Apache. So now what we're going to do now, this is kind of optional, but I recommend that you add a HTTPS redirect. If you want users landing on the HTTP version of your site, they will be automatically redirected to the HTTPS version. So to do that, this step is optional, but most recommended for modern websites. So sudo nano, let's navigate to that directory, Apache 2, sites available, and that's called 000 default.config. So now what you need to do now here is add the same server name and alias. Type in your domain name, server alias, www.yourdomainname.com, and now you're gonna scroll down and add a redirect. So what we can do now is just about here. It's good. Let's give ourselves some space, and we're gonna come here and let's type in the command redirect double quotes all redirect all non-HTTPS traffic or HTTP traffic to HTTPS. So double quotes again, and the HTTPS version of your site, https://yourdomainname.com, or your IP address, whatever. So that's it, I think, and add slash here. So we've set up a redirect here. Now this is a temporary redirect, but if you want this to be a permanent one, you can just add a permanent here. just go back and type in permanent here. That's it. We're doing a temporary redirect for now, so Control X and click on yes, and we're good to go. Let me clear this up. We need to enable the SSL module and the mod headers module. So let me explain mod SSL. So this the mod SSL module provides SSL v3 and TLS version support for the Apache HTTP server. It relies on OpenSSL to provide strong cryptography by using additional environment variables. So to do that, we're going to type in sudo a2 enable module SSL. So now that we're done with that, type in, let's enable the header module too, sudo a2 enable module headers. So don't restart the system just now. We need to enable a few more things. To enable our SSL parameters file, you need to type in sudo a2 enable config and the location of the SSL params file, SSL params. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is enable the virtual host configuration which we created. So according to the virtual host we created, it was called default SSL and we modified it. So we can type in a command sudo a2 enable site and default -SSL. So the virtual host configuration will be enabled. And now you can check the Apache 2 configuration. You can type in a command called sudo Apache 2 ctl config test. And if you get this message if we get the message syntax okay, then it's all good and we can proceed further. So now we can restart Apache system ctl restart Apache 2. And now we can proceed to check in on our domain name to see if the SSL was installed. Type in https://yourdomainname.com and we're good to go. The site is now super secure and we've successfully installed our certificate. Okay, this is good. SSLlabs.com, and we're gonna test our server's SSL configuration. So type in your https://yourdomainname.com, or you can copy and paste it and click on submit. So let's wait for the result to come. And we've got an overall rating of A, which is pretty good. Let me scroll down and check this out. TLS, the older version of TLS and SSL are disabled, which is good. If you get a rating of A, it's pretty much really good. And if you get anything lower than A, you should try to cut out the older versions of TLS in the SSL parameters file, which we just created. Thanks to our default SSL configuration file, we've already done that, so you don't need to worry about that. You can find it in commands itself. And this concludes our video. Hope you were easily able to install your SSL certificate on your server. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, please type it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.